that I wanted to ask was to do with your background. How did you get into costume?
I studied fashion.
Okay.
But by accident, really. I always wanted to come into film and didn't know how to do it. Had no idea how to get into it. Wanted to be a costume designer from the age of 10.
Okay.
And I went and did foundation course, so did lots of different mediums, you know, theatre design, all sorts of things.
Sure.
And then got my first job was dressing Barbara Windsor in pantomime.
Okay,
And
so it was sort of more the theatre route to
I
begin
fell
with.
into it, yeah. Well, I just wanted to get into it anyway, and the only way I knew to do it was through dressing, through doing standby, so
Yeah.
that's what I did. And then got a job. I think, yeah, my mum had seen an advert in The Guardian saying the BBC were looking for holiday relief costume assistants, and so I applied to that for a 3-month course, and then I stayed. So I was kind of in.
Yeah, because it's quite different to kind of
Oh yeah.
the way things are now, but it's really
very,
interesting.
yeah.
to me.
It's a shame that that's gone, you know, because
Yeah.
it was a huge training ground. You know, you could do all sorts. You know, one minute you were dyeing shoes, the next you were out shopping, you were dealing, you know, doing fantasy costumes, reality costumes, all sorts of different things, week to week. So it's a huge, very, very varied. So
It's very exciting.
it's sad that that's gone, really, for the likes of you guys.
I just got a few questions about
Yeah.
your role as a costume designer.
Okay.
And in general, besides makeup, props, you know, who do you work with most to create the aesthetic of a film?
I work to the director.
Yeah.
And whatever the director wants, I try and give him.
Yeah.
It's his film.
Yeah.
You know, I put ideas forward, and obviously you want to have your own stamp, and you bring things to the table, which is what they expect from you,
Yeah.
and then it's a collaborative process. And I always like to include the actors in that as well. So,
Okay.
you know, like we both know, when you leave the house feeling dreadful,
Yeah.
because you're wearing the wrong thing, you're unrelaxed, it ruins your day. So I always try and have the actors leaving the trailer feeling comfortable and happy.
Wow, it's really a job of keeping everyone happy
Yeah,
and being
lots of
able
balls
to put
and
your own creative
yeah,
stamp on it.
and
as
getting
well.
something out of it yourself. Yeah.
When love goes wrong, nothing goes right. This one thing I know. When love goes wrong, a man takes flight, and women get uppity.
Can you tell me more about your sort of design process for the film and how long you had to prepare?
We had, I had 6 weeks before the start of filming, so I was brought on and I just had 6 weeks. The first port of call is research for a project like this. I mean, I was a huge fan of Marilyn anyway, so I had hundreds of books on her anyway, and I sort of knew a lot about her because I'd been a fan of her since I was 10, you know, adored her. I mean, the nature of this script, we had to reproduce certain things because we were reproducing The Prince and the Showgirl, or scenes from The Prince and the Showgirl, which was the movie, of course, she came to make.
So you stayed very true to that.
We had that was
your brief.
the brief. Just you have to get those costumes looking as much like the original.
Are there ever costumes that don't make it into the final edit and you get
All
quite
the time.
frustrated about that?
All the time.
Yeah.
You can't, you know, I mean, there's a lot didn't make it into Marilyn. You know, we created a whole wardrobe of clothes for her, and there's some things just didn't make it, you know, in. So, no, it's just part of the process. You have to understand that, that you can't...
You can't be too precious about things.
You can't.
Yeah.
You have to let it go.
Yeah.
You try, but you have to let it go. I mean, I've got I'm going to show you some sketches here. They've got, a lot of this didn't make it into the film. I mean, a lot of these, like this slip.
Beautiful.
Didn't make it into the film. These pants did actually, but the top didn't. We just put a black roll neck on her in the end. This drawing, this one, that jacket didn't make it into the film. She ended up in something else. And this is actually the idea for the skirt and the shirt, but we reversed it, so it's a camel skirt in the end and a cream shirt.
With the kind of shape and silhouette which is so iconic of Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
How did you achieve that on somebody else?
Okay, I shouldn't...
Because you did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Not really meant to say. I was told don't really say, but I'm going to give you trade secrets. Yeah, she had a lot of help under there.
Okay.
We basically, poor Michelle, when she got off the plane, was taken to a guy called Robert Alsop and had a whole body cast done.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
then we sculpted
Sure.
a shape for her, and she wore that shape underneath. There's been a whole thing in the Mail, I think.
Yeah.
I got interviewed last week, and I said I want to set the record straight because they were trying to promote these magic knickers that apparently she wore.
Okay.
And I said it was a lot more complicated than a pair of magic
Yeah.
knickers. But that's a trade secret, I think. The moment to say.
From the film, I got a very sort of sense of a very dreamlike occurrence. Like it was a week with Marilyn. It
Yes.
wasn't just
No.
a week with Marilyn. It was like
No.
a dream, you know.
A dream,
and I
yeah.
felt the colours really helped that.
Yes, that ethereal
Yeah,
quality. Yes,
yeah.
but that was her.
Yeah.
I mean, she just, you know, she was that way out. You
Yeah.
know, all the picture reference I've got of her, she's in neutrals. It was only later when she got discovered Pucci and things, you know, real colour starting.
Yeah.
Well, it was the start of the '60s and real colour was starting to come in.
Yeah.
But this particular period,
Yeah,
you know, it's all quite tame.
yeah.
How does it affect your creativity when you're working on something that's so well kind of documented? And did you find, because I know that Marilyn Monroe's costumes were quite sort of casual and showed a kind of softer side to her. Did you find that
Well,
was where your creativity came in?
Yes, I wanted to get that across. I knew that about her, that
Yeah.
I think she was way ahead of her time in her look, in her personal styling, and I wanted to get that across in the film because not many people know that about her. You know, we
Yeah.
all have this vision of the iconic Marilyn in the form-fitting
glamorous.
dresses, very glamorous, you
Yeah.
know, gentlemen prefer blondes, all that, the white dress in 7 Year Itch. Nobody really knew that, you know, she, well, maybe they did, but I wanted to get this across that she wore big chunky cardies, you know,
Yeah.
she wore cut-off jeans, she wore loafers and simple t-shirts and things, and she was very, you know, and she wore lots of pencil skirts with men's shirts. So that's what I wanted to portray.
Well, I'd never send my kids away.
Eden is 500 years old. It was founded by King Henry VI.
No wonder it's so dusty.
Looks more like a palace.
That room there, upper school, that's where you're sent if you don't work hard enough. You're whipped.
No. That's awful.
Do you prefer working in factual as opposed to fiction, or?
You know, for me, I like, as long as it's different all the time,
Yeah.
you like, you know, what I would hate to do is get into a groove of just modern things, which I did for a while, or just period things,
Yeah.
or just fantastical things.
Yeah.
I think that it's nice to mix it up, and that's what keeps you fresh.
Yeah.
Because you don't really take with you, you know, your research is so intense, you can't possibly retain it all the time.
Yeah.
So you don't carry it through with you, so you've got to start again
Yes.
when you're going onto another project, and that's what's good for me.
Yeah.
So it's what keeps you fresh, actually. So you're not, otherwise if you're just doing modern all the time, you think, oh, here we go, around the West End again.
Yeah.
You know the shops, and I think it gets a bit stale. So for me, it's variety. If you can keep changing, if you're lucky enough to, because people do get pigeonholed.
And more generally, I'm a budding costume designer. Do you have any advice for people who want to go into this industry in making or designing costume?
I think you've got to go in with kind of quite low expectations, because I think what we all think of as a student as the film business is not. The reality is very different.
Yeah.
And I think I think people should be aware that it's not necessarily such a glamorous environment that you're working in. You know, when you're standing at 3 o'clock in the morning up to your knees in mud, it's not, you think, my God, where's all the glamour? So I think you have to be aware of the downsides as well. There's some fantastic times and experiences, but it's not all glamour.
So, yeah, what's the thing you most enjoy about your job?
Meeting people. I love meeting people. And, you know, I love, obviously, the costume, that's what I do, but I just love the high tone of people in my life. And interesting people.
Creative people.
Yeah, and we're all kids, you know, it's not an adult world, we're all children making make-believe, you know. None of us have grown up. I mean, you know, if you have a conversation with a banker, you think, my God, they're so different to us, you know, because you have fun. It's fun.
Dealing in the imagination.
It can be fun, yeah. And I think that's what you've got to take on board, you know, you're going into a fun world.
Yeah.